Hi, I'm Sara Levin, the Artful Inker, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm here with a couple of alternative cards for the April 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit, My Wonderful Family. So we're going to start with the Floral Image from My Wonderful Family, and I've got Seaside Spray ink and Rococo Rose, and a piece of Whisper White cardstock. And let's just ink up the Rococo Rose. I am stamping off because my Rococo Rose pad is very juicy. And then let me clean that. And we're going to do one in Seaside Spray. Okay, let me set these aside for just a moment. And then using Pear Pizzazz, that was the ink spot this month. I've got the little leaf, and I'm going to stamp several of those. Now you're going to want to cut these out with your paper snips, and my recommendation for cutting, you can do this a couple of ways. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So taking your clean stamp that you used, you can lay it over your stamped image and trace around it to get a simpler outline to cut, and just simply cut along the line. Or you can do a more traditional cutout and give this a little more shape, whichever one suits you. So I'm going to turn the camera off and finish fussy cutting, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I've got all of my pieces that were stamped and cut out over here. Next, we're going to take the tree trunk piece and Early Espresso ink. Let's make sure it's fully inked here, and stamp it once, and then ink and flip it around, and as close as possible match it up. Let me move this ink out of the way, and I have already cut out that piece. You'll notice I eliminated this bit down at the bottom. So now it's time to take our card front and begin putting our pieces together. So I'm going to set this on here just for a quick little visual aid, and I've got my stamp inked in Seaside Spray again, and I'm stamping off. And let me grab my Pear Pizzazz ink again, and the little leaves. And we're going to add some leafy bits dangling down here. And pop in a few up here as well. Okay. Let's close this up. And then I have Daffodil Delight. And I've got the little stream of butterflies, but I'm kind of pretending that they are flower spikes. Okay. Now, let's grab my dimensionals over here. I need to grab my mini dimensionals for my handle, but we're going to go ahead and put dimensionals on these bits. And then with the mini dimensionals, we're going to add them to, whoops, I'm going to stick to my fingers today. Okay. Okay, and then we have our glue here, and start and put in some of the little leafy bits from our stamping earlier on. Oops. A little more. Okay, so our pieces are all glued on, and we're almost finished with this bit. Let me close up these ink pads so I don't dip my ribbon in. I've got the Whisper White polka dot tool, and just going to do a quick little, let's see, I want a double bow here out of this. So just playing with my sizes a little bit. Okay. Make sure I've left myself a good long piece. Grab my scissors and cut that. And then I'm just looping right through the hole where my thumb is. And tie this together by pulling that piece we just looped through. Okay, give it a little bit of a arranging here and grab my glue dots. There were glue dots in your kit, so if you haven't used them all, oops. Okay, and cut my streaming pieces here just a little bit. And we've got a little tussy-mussy for the front of the card. Let me clean up my mess just a smidge here. Okay, so inside my card I want to add a layer of Whisper White, and I've got about an 1/8 inch wide strip of Pear Pizzazz. This is such a simple way to accent a card on the inside. And then let's adhere this. And then use some dimensionals for this layer on the outside. And yes, I do like a lot of dimensionals on my layers. That way nothing is sagging. There's no point popping it up and then having it not really be up. Okay, and center it. Give it a good press. And there we are, our little tussy-mussy card made with the My Wonderful Family stamp set. For the second card, we're going to start with some Whisper White, Blushing Bride, and then I've got this same floral stamp, but I'm going to turn it over and we're going to stamp with the footer side or the back side. So I want to start by inking it up with the Blushing Bride ink, and again my ink pad is super juicy, so I'm stamping off. And then give this a moment to transfer the ink. And there we go. And I want to stamp this again over on my layer, or what will be my card front. And I'm going to stamp off. And then stamp this about right here. Okay, let me close my ink pad and move my stamp out of the way. And we're going to take a pencil and my ruler And I'm starting in from the side about 1/4 of an inch and coming down, and then the same here. Okay, and then I'm going to come back with my ruler and my soft suede Stampin' Up marker and trace my lines. So why did I do it in pencil first? Well, just in case I didn't get the proportion that I was looking for. The right angle, let's go here. Okay, and then I just want to do some detail here. I am using the bullet tip. And as I always say, this is not a perfect science. So I'm just adding some crosshatch detail here. Okay, put that away. And then I have some of my Stampin' Blends. I'm going to start with the crumb cake, the light and dark, and then decide whether I want any of the light soft suede. So I'm coming back and adding some lines because it was far too straight a line when and you're going to turn this because it's easier for me to color away from myself, going like this. And I want a little bit of shadow under the edge here. So we'll add that in and come back in. I'm using the side, or trying to stay on the side rather than the tip of my marker as I blend this together. And then again, going to add this shadowing bit here, trying to flick some of this in so you don't get a hard straight line. And trying to stay over on the side of my marker rather than straight up on the tip. And I keep coming all the way back out to the edge so that it'll blend and you get a lighter, the lightest bit of color then in the center, because every stroke out to the edge adds another layer of color, and just trying to leave a little highlight here down the center. Okay. As you can see, I did not come back in with the light soft suede, so we'll move that out of the way. Oh, grab my paper snips here, and we're going to cut this piece out. I'm cutting it loose from the bigger piece first because that's just easier to cut. And I moved the paper as I cut rather than the scissors. Even though it can look like I'm moving the scissors, it really is the paper that's being moved. And that gives you a cleaner line, and you're not doing a lot of opening and closing of the scissors as you do the cutting. Almost done. Come around this last corner here. Okay, let's throw this aside. I've got my dimensionals back here. We're going to put this second scoop on our ice cream cone. And I'm going to do it a little cattywampus. Adds a little additional detail. And then I've got some iridescent sequins here and my fine tip glue that I'm going to use as sprinkles or jimmies, whatever you call them in your neck of the woods. Let's sprinkle a few of these out here. It'll be easier to pick up with my tweezers. I just want to get a few of these on first, and then I'll come back and glue them in place. Okay. And a little dot will do ya. And you put them down when you're using the fine tip glue and just leave it. It does take a moment for it to adhere, and you don't want to be moving it around because you expected it to stick right now and then leave a shiny snail trail. I do usually use my sequins cup side up. Okay. And that's the last one. Or maybe, I think maybe one more. Okay. Okay, let's put the tip back in this fine tip glue pen so it doesn't dry out. And while those are drying, we'll get the inside of the card put together. So I've got a 1/4 inch Blushing Bride strip. One of the many reasons to save those offcuts from your card making. They make great little accent pieces for the inside of your card. This one's just a smidge long, so I'm going to turn it over and use the side of my card as a guide. And pop this inside. And now we'll use our dimensionals. As you can see, the Stampin' Blends do bleed through, and that is normal. And all that means is that the things that you color with Stampin' Blends will need to be a layer on a card rather than a no layer card. Okay, turn this over. And there we have our ice cream card using the My Wonderful Family paper pumpkin kit from April 2020. And there'll be a link below to my blog post where you can find links for all of today's products. And be sure to subscribe for the June 2020 paper pumpkin kit. May is already sold out. Thanks for stopping by today. This was Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and then hop on over to my blog to see what else I'm sharing. Bye. Have a great day.